You gonna do what CJ does and welcome people online quietly?
None. Cool. All right. Perfect.
Say something. Introduce them. Say, "Hey."
We don't have anybody yet. Perfect. All right, everybody. Welcome to the line. Welcome to tonight's presentation. We're actually taking over CJ's channel. We're going to have John go ahead and kick us off for tonight.
Your head is not on the screen.
Oh, nobody can see me on the screen? There we go. Like
There you
this? Like there?
Or go all the way to
I'm
the
not
back of the
CJ.
wall.
All right, perfect. We're taking over CJ's channel. We'll go ahead and have John kick it off.
Okay, well, everyone in our live audience, thank you for coming tonight. Got a great presentation for everyone, and our online audience, thank you for signing in, joining up tonight. Want to introduce, just welcome everybody here to Sierra Vista, Arizona. This is the latest Deo Conference and Event Center, and tonight we are here with a group of real estate investors from the Renatus education. We all have this in common. So what is Renatus? Renatus is an alternative. Can you boys go around to the back, through the back door? Thank you. You know, in life, we all do the same thing in America. We're raised up, we go to school, we are told to graduate from high school, we want to get a good job. So you got to go to college. Some people do that, some people don't. So our income level is based a lot on what we learn. Of course, if we want to make the big bucks, we want to become a doctor or a lawyer. So we go to school. That's expensive. Ray, what does it cost to become a lawyer?
I would imagine well over 100,000.
I would think so too. Probably somewhere 100, 150, maybe 250 to become a doctor.
Yeah, for sure.
These are top income earning jobs. Another top income earning job is a real estate investor. Where do you go to college to learn how to become a real estate investor?
Nowhere.
Renatus.
Renatus filled a gap. There was a market niche for an academy. It teaches entrepreneurship. It enables people to learn precisely what they need, learning on their own time, learning from practitioner instructors, not from academic professors. And not that those are bad, but you can spend time learning from millionaires, or you can spend time learning from people who were taught how to teach some curriculum that they never practiced themselves. So what we've got in Renatus is over 400 hours of content that you have lifetime access to, that teaches every facet of investing, of entrepreneurship, tax and legal. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on. This is not the presentation for that, but we wanted to let you know who we are, what we do, and the reason we're here tonight is to give an opportunity for people to see what we've done, what we're capable of doing. For example, this conference center is an investment of mine and my wife Karen's. We turned it into a commercial buy and hold. Now we rent it out similar to an Airbnb. Think of it as a commercial Airbnb. We have 2 suites around the corner that pay for the facility just from they themselves. So in our education, we learn how to leverage. We learn how to do acquisitions. We learn about commercial property values, how to evaluate properties. We've been flipping houses, Karen and I, for the last 3 years now. We've been doing real estate as opposed, well, in addition to our W-2 jobs, which we're phasing out our W-2 jobs and living off our investments, and also created businesses. Now, 2 fellows that are coming up tonight, is it 2 or 1 of you presenting?
Both.
Both, okay. These 2 guys very similar story. W-2 backgrounds, educations, not sure which way to go. You invest a lot of money, you borrow a lot of money to get your college education, and it doesn't work, doesn't pay back very much. How do you get into the wealthy 1%? How do you get to learn what real estate investors know? They're in the wealthy 1%. They're right there with the doctors and the lawyers, if not even probably more so. So these guys coming tonight are great story of Renatus, what they've learned from their education. It's like I said, it's a lifetime access, so it's a lifetime of learning. And Joseph Smith and Ray Fleming are presenters tonight. This is kind of a follow-up presentation to one that was 2 weeks ago. And they've began 3 businesses, one J-Team Fidelity. They also buy properties and do house flipping together. They have a project called 1,000 Doors, another business they started, which is a buy and hold property. So they are landlords and continuing to make acquisitions every year and grow and grow and grow. They have a great business model that they presented last week. And then Wise Guys and Ties is their 3rd business, which they've raised. What did you raise the money for? Wise, that was for your 1,000 Doors, right?
Yeah, I mean, overall, we're raised about close to $1 million
Okay.
in the last year.
And you were taught how to do that through the Renatus education, taught how to put these business models together, and it's working. So now we've got another business tonight is business credit consulting. So we're going to hear from them tonight. Great guys. Joseph, probably his greatest accomplishment, he's persuaded me to understand, is his humility. So, so Ray, you guys are crushing it up there in Tucson. We just thank you for coming down to Sierra Vista to present this to everyone tonight. And who are we starting with? Joseph. Joseph Smith, come on up.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Dave. Oh, hey, leaving me hanging. All right. Hey, I am super excited for what we're going to present tonight. All right, we got some folks from New York in the house, I hear. Yeah, all right. Hey, just want to let you know that we're going to be talking about money tonight. Is that an okay topic to talk about? Now, I mean, like he said, everything that we've learned through this Renatus education system. But I'm a man of faith, and my mom taught me a long time ago that the love of money is the root of all evil. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
What's the love of money?
The love of money. Not money itself, but the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, as far as I can tell, I haven't read anywhere where the love of other people's money is bad, right? So we're going to be talking about other people's money tonight. How to get it, how to use it. We're going to be talking about for business, for real estate investing, for all kinds of crazy things that you could potentially do. By show of hands, who has a business? Business? I have a business, you have a business, you have a business. You guys have a business.
In the back.
Right on. You guys got to pay attention. We're going to go over 27 different types of funding that's available for businesses out there. Now, you might be listening to some of the things that we're talking about. You're going to be like, well, this has nothing to do with me. That's not my business. Oh, do not tune out. Because as business owners, where do we get capital from to run our business? Other people, right? We're interested in other people's money. So just because we'll share a strategy and it's not your business, doesn't mean you don't know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody who's in that business who could become an investor with you. All right? Enough said?
Enough said.
All right. So if I can get this to work, we're the Wise Guys and Ties. This is my business that I learned how to set up through the Renatus education system. These are our contact information. Feel free to take a picture of anything you want on these screens, because I'm going to tell you the information that we're going to throw at you is going to be like drinking from a fire hose. There's going to be so many numbers, so many different things on here. It's okay to take a picture. We do ask one thing though. Do not reproduce this on social media as this is something my lawyer said not to do. So don't do it. All right. What's that mean is that while I'm not an attorney and I am giving you general advice on what to do, it's up to you to do your own due diligence and make sure that these strategies will work for you. Speak to a financial consultant, a fiduciary, an attorney, a CPA. Make sure that you get the appropriate advice, that the information that I'm giving you works, because what we're doing here works in Arizona, but doesn't necessarily work in New York. The principle does, but it might have to be executed slightly differently. Understood? All right. Well, I would love to keep talking because that's one of my favorite things to do, but actually I've got to give way to my business partner, Mr. Ray Fleming. Now, why should you be listening to Ray? Because he knows a heck of a lot about financing. He has started in the last year 5 businesses, and all of them he's built business credit, he's accessed funds, well over in just the last, last couple of months, over $100,000 in funding you've accessed for your businesses and your clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guy's an animal, he's a beast. Now I'll jump in and talk about some stuff later on, but we're going to be learning about the 5 C's of lending. So welcome up to the front room, Mr. Ray Fleming.
Oh, that's a cool song. I like that. Thank you. All right. Cool. Thank you, Joseph. All right. Okay. The biggest problem is money, of course, right? Everybody needs more money.
Can't hear you.
Everybody needs more money.
Yes, please.
Yes.
May I have a double?
Yes. So what Joseph was talking about is beautiful. I like this song. It's a good song.
You want to dance to it?
All right, that's, I guess,
Yeah.
we turn this into the Ellen Show. We're just all going to dance now. All right, so, oh, is that how we do it? Oh, perfect. So I was just going to jam out for a little bit. All right, welcome everybody. Is money the biggest obstacle when it comes to investments or businesses? Is that the biggest obstacle you folks face? What do you think is the biggest obstacle? Say you want to go buy an apartment building. What do you think is going to stop you? Money? That is.
What if you're in a high-risk industry? Is anything you're going to cover tonight help somebody who's in a high-risk industry?
Most businesses that entrepreneurs start are high-risk industries. Just that's the truth. Everything that we want to do and what's somewhat desirable to get into tends to be high risk. Real estate is a high-risk industry. I mean, I'm sure you've heard. Is real estate risky?
I was
Yeah.
just asking you a YouTube
Yeah, it is.
question, that's all it was.
No, it's definitely risky. And so there's ways to mitigate that risk by, obviously, through different types of education. One of them is Renatus. There's a lot of educations out there. That's just what I used and I had success with. Am I typical? I don't know. I mean, I don't think I am because many people may not even apply what they learned. I just learned and applied it. That's simply what I did. And so what we're talking about tonight is the 5 C's of lending. These are things that you need to have in place in order to get money. Now, this isn't just for real estate. This is for really any business you want to create. We will literally go over pretty much every way we know how to leverage a business. So one of the ways that you can, so let's see, what are the 5 C's? Anybody want to take some guesses of what the 5 C's are? Character, capacity, cash flow, credit, and collateral. So you can get funding with just one of these things, or if you have all 5 in a combination, that maximizes it. But maybe you just have cash flow, we'll talk about funding for that. Or you just have credit, we'll talk about funding for that. Maybe you just have quality character. And when it comes to character, you may be asking, anybody have a guess on what character means? Who you are.
Yeah.
Right, who you are. That's really is at the very basic, who you are. Are you trustworthy? That's really what somebody wants, like that's a good judge. If you're gonna judge somebody's character, you wanna know, are they trustworthy? And that's pretty much one of the main things. So we're gonna talk about how you represent that you are trustworthy. That is actually one of the biggest problems lenders face and financial institutions face, because in the business world, You guys want to take a guess on the percentage of fraudulent applications they receive daily?
Oh, I know.
Let's try this. Somebody that hasn't been in this class before,
I've
sir.
seen this presentation.
All right, you want to take a guess on the percentage of fraudulent applications? That's actually really good. You're like spot
She
on.
must be from like New York.
Yeah, I know. No, that's true. That's really what it is. Majority of people are trying to take advantage or steal funds in one way, shape, or another. And that is a huge problem. Because character comes down to not only are you trying to steal funds, but how serious you are about the actual business itself. Are you treating it like a hobby, or are you treating it like a business? If I'm going to lend you money, I want to know how serious you are. I want to know that you're in this game. I also want to know that maybe you're going to actually be an incorporated entity. Yes, thank you, sir. I want to know that you have actually invested the money needed to get your business to where it's going to be. You handling that? Oh, thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right. So it's the difference between, you want to have a clothing shop versus just spending money on making them out of your house. They want to know just your level of commitment. Also, we talked about quickly scam versus legitimacy. They want to see that you're actually spending the money on your business in the areas that are required and what's needed, so that you represent that you're professional, you have really taken the time to care about what you look like to your customers, but also that you're not representing something that's deceitful or shady in one way, shape, or another. It's a big problem we talked about as far as fraudulent applications, but it's not necessarily fraudulent applications. The character aspect comes across by having really just an incomplete business profile. So when you don't have a complete profile, your business is not fully up and running, to them, it just looks like you're not serious about what you're doing, and you're not going to get the money you're asking for. That is the number one reason for denials, and something that can trip something up on the character issue is things like not having, well, actually, we're going to talk about this. We always go to the bank seeking money, right? Where else could we go? I mean, that's kind of really what we were told, make sure you have good credit, and then you can go to the bank to get money. So if we wanted money for our business, we fill out a loan application. They're going to look for a business name, business address, phone number, email, website possibly, also that you have a business bank account. We're going to dive into a little bit later, but majority of loans for businesses come from the SBA, and the SBA has very, very strict lending guidelines. And most businesses don't even qualify within the first few years. What we're going to be talking about is ways that you can get funding right out the gate in as short as 6 to 12 months, accessing over $50,000, maybe even $150,000 for your business without having to go through the SBA, which is something that many people don't know. As you fill out your application, really anything under $150,000 is instantly approved or denied. They may say it has to go to the underwriter, but they use a computer algorithm. The computer algorithm, as you submit your application, it will run a check to see if anything doesn't line up. That's simply what it is. So as long as you have everything that lines up perfectly when you submit your application, then you'll get it approved. It's really that simple. But there's things that anybody, so when we used to have home phones, nobody has a home phone, right? Okay. Did you ever dial 411 on your home phone? Well, we're talking 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You remember 411? You couldn't get the phone book or find the phone book. You were too lazy to get the phone book out. You're like, I'll pay the 75 cents. Did you know it's actually a requirement for most lenders that you actually have a listing with 411 in today's economy, and they don't even care about your website? Nobody, because of the fraudulent aspect, nobody's worried about 411 these days. They don't think about these. But if you know what the lenders are looking for, then you can actually be a little proactive in that aspect. The thing about 411, not only is it completely out of date, but it was one of these organic ways that once your business was up and running and legitimate, you got put into that system. And so if you are not in that system, you will not get approved. And the more specific, what we're talking about tonight is ways that you can get approved on just one of the 5. So maybe your business just has a good credit track record, but you have no collateral, you have no cash flow. We can leverage that to the max. Or you just have collateral, but terrible credit. We can leverage that as well. And that's the really cool thing about business. I'm gonna let Joseph talk a little bit about capacity, because this guy, he talks a lot about, the funds that we were raised, but that's his job. He is the master of fundraising. I get to just spend it all on the properties. I mean, that's what you guys need to find. You need to find yourself a Joseph so he can raise the money, and then you get to go and spend it on rental properties and flip properties.
Hey, thanks, Ray.
All right, thank you, sir.
This tag team, this is gonna work
Yeah, we'll
awesome.
just run back and forth.
Woo. Okay, capacity, what's capacity? What?
How much someone can hold?
Okay, how much something can hold, but that's not what we're talking about in this situation, but that is a workable definition of capacity. Capacity?
Just thinking of something that could be filled or can't get the exact definition, but no.
You were certain you knew what it was right up until I asked you, right? I've been in that scenario before. I know exactly what that was until you asked me. You raised your hand in the back.
I'm gonna make a stab at it. Capacity would be the cap or the ceiling that you can max at financially?
No.
No.
That's a good stab, though. You just missed wide right. Yeah.
Does it have to do with your capability?
Yes. Yes. But my dad and I, we're just on the same wavelength. We think alike. Okay. Here is Joseph Smith's definition of what capacity is. This is what I say. Your track record of paying lenders back. That's what it ultimately comes down to. But I mean, I like to use sports analogies pretty much for everything that I do. Is that okay with you guys? Anybody here play sports? Right? Yeah. I was telling your wife earlier, if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. That's bottom line. Okay, so check this out. This is how capacity works. This is how it is. You're the pitcher, okay? This is your business. The ball is your payment, okay? You're gonna make your payment. It's gonna zip right by to the catcher. The catcher in this example is your creditor, right? You gotta pay your bills. Now, if the pitcher messes up, his timing's a little off, a little late, the batter is going to take, go ahead and take that and swing for the park, right? So here's the thing. As long as you're making your payments on time, right? And I talk a lot about what does on time mean. Is on time, like right now, like if it starts at 7 tonight, is on time 7? No, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is actually late. Like if you have a staff meeting and they call all the officers or the executives in, and you show up, walk through the door right at 7, you're late. Right? So to be early is to be on time. Same with payments. To make your payment early is to actually pay it on time. To pay on time, you could end up actually, because of the way processing works, it won't process to the next few days. So then you'd become late. And in business or in the world of business finance, to be late is fatal. Okay, so we want to avoid that. Now, that's all well and good. You can be making your payments, paying them on time, paying them early, but now the umpire here is really important. Are you set up in your business with a business credit bureau? We've got Dun & Bradstreet, we have Business Experian, we have Equifax Small Business. They're the ones calling the balls and the strikes, making sure that you are paying your business on time. So if you're not even set up with any of these credit bureaus, it doesn't matter how many payments you've made on time, right? In fact, it could just be that the batter and the catcher and the pitcher and the ump aren't even there at all. And you're just, in terms of establishing business credit, you're just playing with yourself. You're just throwing the ball and nobody's catching anything. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there, does it make a sound? It does? Okay. Can you prove it?
What goes up must come down.
Okay. Listen, if you're making payments, your business is making payments, somebody needs to be recording those payments. That's how you establish your track record. Without a track record, we don't have capacity. Let's take a look at this. So the more bills that you pay on time, that you have somebody keeping track, not just your lender, right? Something that's being reported actually on your credit, right? So you pay a bill on time, and then how many times do you continue to pay all of your bills on time? Right? So the more times you pay all your bills on time, if you're following here, trying to make this as clear as mud, right? The greater your business capacity will be. So how long have you been in business? How long have you been in business and paid all your bills? How long have you been in business showing profits? All of this is what contributes to what's called your capacity. All right, now, specifically, when we talk about these 5 C's, Ray already brought up that with the 5 C's, we can help you find funding if you have one or more of these. If you have all 5, we can find you all the money you need, like maybe even up to $20 million. But let's face it, most people don't have all of this. Character. Are you in business? Are you legitimate? If you're in business and you're legitimate, there's funding just for being in business. That's it, bottom line. You don't have to have capacity, cash flow, credit, or collateral. Now let's say you have been in business, but that's all, and you have a little capacity. So you combine character with capacity, and there's lending for those 2 C's combined. Now, cash flow. Ray's gonna come up and talk about cash flow. There is lending. Like say you have a business and you're bringing in cash flow. There's lending just for if you have that 1 C. Then you can combine that. What if you have cash flow and capacity and credit, right? How do you combine these? So keep in mind as we talk through tonight, we're going to talk about how you can get funding based on any one of these C's, but also there's ways to combine them to get even more funding. So without any further ado, Ray, come
right,
back
cool.
up and talk about cash flow.
All right, perfect. This is my favorite topic, actually. I really like cash flow. I think, have you guys heard that saying, you know, cash flow is
King.
king? Have you guys heard that?
Mhm.
Okay, so let's take a little side note. Okay, what's your goal or your dream?
To help people.
To help people. In what capacity? That's another way we can use that word.
So, to get out of the rat race, to be free, to spend more time with my kids, my husband, helping people live out their dreams.
Perfect. Sounds good. Rebecca, what's your dream?
Regina?
Oh, sorry,
It's alright.
Regina. I apologize,
My dream
Regina.
is to, I love to help people. I'll piggyback on what she said, but, I want to be able to leave a legacy, foundation for my kids. I want to be able to make money in my sleep. So I don't have to wake up with my hair sticking up too high. So I basically, I want to have revenue from make my money work for itself.
That's perfect. How much on a monthly basis, like the first, like, if you reach a certain number amount in a month, you're like, all right, I'm free. Is that like 5,000, 10,000, or even more?
Right now, maybe like 10,000.
10,000 where you didn't even have to like really do anything, maybe an hour a month.
But in the near future, I want to make good money. But
So even
right
more.
away, yeah. So
All right, cool.
as much as I'm gonna go hard for it, basically. So my
You're not on
capacity-
camera.
There's no limit to it.
Yeah.
There's no limit to it. And I apologize. I missed your name.
Henry.
Henry.
Yes.
Henry. Oh, okay. Regina and Henry. Yes. All right. I got this. All right. So Henry, what is your dream?
And we also have Jerry and Wade Zen.
I am a athletic supporter.
Athletic
Yes. Athletic supporter. Whether it's reposting anything she ever says or does on social media, whether it's always keeping her spirits high, whether it's always the consumer talking to them while I'm around or there or something like that. Just caveating of what she does and trying to make sure she's on the right track and keeping her motivated all the time.
Hey, you put me to shame. Gold star, my friend. Gold star. That's perfect. That's beautiful. So you two want to travel,
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
and that's like kind of the key. You know, if you're like, okay, let's grab the boys. We're gonna go to Fiji and spend 30 days there in Fiji. But then what do you do after that? Then it's like, if you have investments, real estate, rental properties, or you have just money invested out there and whatever. I mean, I just choose real estate. I think everybody should know at this point that most millionaires are created through real estate investing. And so that's what I like is, hey, we got a couple apartments. Let's go to Fiji, hang out on the beach for 30 days. Boom, first of the month, bank account's refilled. Let's go somewhere else. And then your money starts tracking you and chasing you across the world. And you can do whatever you want, you know, just sit there and not have to stress out, but be able to spend that time with the kids. I mean, that's my goal. Spend time with the kids, hang out with the wife, and then create charities and just expand that influence. So this is the cool thing. We got to get to cash flow. And once we have cash flow, even a small amount, we can start to leverage that. But of course, we have to get there first. That's one way that we can actually fund businesses or fund investments. So maybe you know somebody who wants to invest in a deal with you, but they say, oh, I don't have any money. But they have a business that's bringing in steady revenue. So approvals for funding are basically based on just money coming in. They want to see that you have a healthy business track record of proper business management, proper account management. In this case, your financial statements, your bank records are going to be key. Consistent deposits, positive cash flow, insufficient fund fees, those are killers. That could really just deny you across the board. Positive ending balances, very important. Now, in some cases, depending on how much we're looking for, they may want to see your tax returns. That's another big thing. Increasing revenues and profit over time, and then also that your business is continuing to grow and not showing a loss. Because does anybody want to invest in a business after 4 years that is starting to lose money? No. Who's seen Shark Tank? You guys ever seen Shark Tank? Oh my goodness, you gotta watch Shark Tank if you haven't seen it. Because they talk a lot about these things, and if you want to see a great way to raise more capital for your business, watching Shark Tank is huge, because they always focus on, hey, 4 years in, you're starting to lose money. That's a sinking ship many people don't want to jump on. There's something that went wrong in there. Now, the other aspect to cash flow, where does cash flow come from? Cash flow is money just simply coming into the business. And of course, you got to pay for your expenses, your sales, your inventory. You have to pay for all of that. But one of the most popular ways is merchant advances. So as really any business has a credit card swiper or a processor, they're taking payments. Maybe they take check payments. But many businesses now, even on a cell phone, have some type of swiper, processor, PayPal. All of these things can actually be funding instruments. Who's heard of Square? Okay, so you use Square. All right, let me give you an example on somebody who has actually invested into our companies. This is my wife's little nail tech lady. That's her thing. She likes to have her nails done. And so her nail lady, she just kind of works out of a home little office, and she takes payments on her phone. Okay, so she's been in business for a long time. She doesn't even have an actual company officially set up. It's just a trade name. She doesn't have an LLC. We're working on getting her that set up. But because of that track record, we were able to find her a $7,000 loan. Just straight out the gate, just for her track record on her merchant account. So she gets $7,000 up front, and then she just turned around and invested into us. She got it at only 6% interest. And the cool thing is, every single day that she's making payments, they take a small percentage of that to pay back that loan. Every single day as she makes her transactions, she does $100 worth of business, they maybe take out $10. But over the course, it actually took her 9 months, and she had paid back that $7,000 loan in 9 months. Now, this is the cool thing to think about. She now has a built-in savings account with our company because she also has $7,000 now invested in us. And she never even noticed she didn't notice that money going away. She leveraged other people's money, and then she has it with us at a guaranteed 12% return. So this is just a fundamental aspect of she's using other people's money to invest, and she's starting to learn the process. And the next year comes, boom, now it's up to $10,000 she's able to invest. And then the next year after that, it'll be probably 15. So we're in the second year now of this, and she can just keep growing it. And she just keeps doing her nail business and not even thinking about it. And that's an opportunity for us to continue our expansion of real estate, but her to start growing a retirement. So it's a win-win situation for both parties, because I can take that $7,000 and I can go put a property under contract. And anybody heard of a wholesale? Just wholesaling a property. I just, go and throw up $5,000 and I can turn that into $10,000. Boom. I've already made her money back, plus made myself some money. And that's a win-win situation for both. This is a powerful way for people to get money. So if you know people that take consistent payments, there's an opportunity there for them to get funds. All right, let's see what else we could do for cash flow. This is kind of on the same lines of having a merchant processor. It's many of these, like that loan I was just talking about, it was technically out for 18 months, but she can just accelerate those payments and pay them down quicker. So at the end of the day, she's like, oh, I got an extra $20 I can throw into that. Oh, I can, This is the cool thing. For retail shops and stores, up to $500,000. That is powerful stuff. Now also, you might see this like rates of 10% to 65%. That's a huge range. And you're like, holy smokes, why would somebody pay 65% interest? That's outrageous. Well, I mean, if that's your only option, then is it better to have the money even though it's really expensive? If that's going to be the deal breaker between staying in business and not staying in business? Well, what is the difference between 10% and 65%? Right, 50. But what would cause a business to be able to get the 10% and not have to do the 65? What are some of those factors? Like what could make your business have a smaller interest rate?
Time and in business, industry, credit quality, bank,
Right
account
there.
management.
Yeah.
And ending balances.
Perfect, it's right there.
Okay.
All these things, what we're talking about, the 5 C's of lending, really, if you want lower interest rates, all you have to do is reduce your risk. That is directly correlated to interest rates. Have you ever noticed that? If you have good credit, you're going to get better interest rates. Mm-hmm. If your business has a good track record, you're going to get lower interest rates. If you have a business email, you're going to get a lower interest rate than somebody who doesn't have a business email. So if you are using a domain with your business and you have a website all official, you're going to get a better rate than a guy that's using a Gmail account. And many people don't even realize that a Gmail account versus having an actual email account is a percentage difference. Having a cell phone on your records versus an actual business phone number is percentage difference. Having an established business versus being a sole proprietorship is a percentage difference. So we want you to we want you to get these things up and running the right way. Bank account versus no bank account, that's a percentage difference. So the more things that you have like a legitimate business does, you're going to get better rates. That's simply what it is. And that's really what we do a lot of with our helping people get the funds they need. Many times we need them to go through that process of, hey, you're still using a Gmail account. Let's get you an official email account. And that way it opens you up to more lenders. Because let me ask you this, if I'm borrowing money from you, you want to know what?
I can pay that.
Exactly, then I'm going to pay you back.
I wanna know where I can find you to come get my money from you if you don't pay me back.
That's true too. So that's a different suit. So where are you gonna find somebody? You bring up a really important point though. Another thing, if you have a PO box versus an actual business address, that's gonna be more comfort, less risk, and so you want to be able to be found. Lenders like that. Let's talk about SBAs. Even though SBAs are the hardest business funding product to get, but it's the one that is pretty much talked about the most. It is absolutely, I can't even go over how hard it is to actually qualify for one of
What
these.
is
You,
SBA?
Small Business Administration. Basically, they're an institution that looks out for banks. They aren't looking out for small business, even though that's what everybody thinks.
How many C's does it take to qualify for an SBA loan?
Seven,
Seven?
and we're
Seven
talking
out of the
about
five?
No. It takes all five being perfect. Your business needs to be perfect. You need to have perfect financials. You need to have personal credit involved in it. Every single thing that SBA does, you need to have personal credit involved. Tax returns, at least 2 or 3 years of business, personal finances, personal credit scores, collateral to offset the debt. So if you don't have any assets, they're going to want you to put up your own private residence. Like they want to make sure that you are on the hook. Positive financials that show growth, increasing net profits. It's got to make sense to them. And like I said, the SBA is looking out for their financial institutions. Does everybody agree that banks have your best interest in mind?
No.
I mean, are banks looking out for you? Or
No,
are they
they're
looking out
using
for
our
them?
money in the accounts to invest overnight while we're not.
Right?
I feel like they're using our money to
What an
invest.
excellent business model.
That's exactly what it is. Hey, you give me your money and I'll lend you your money back to you at a higher percentage rate. That's simply what banks do. Or hey, let me borrow your money and I'll have you put in a savings account so I can lend it out to you at an interest rate and make money. It's a wrap. I mean, let's be honest, everybody you should want to be a bank because
That's why they made these lending trees and these other things where people have money that don't know what to do with their money or how to invest it. I've been seeing this in the mail now. Like you can go on and if Janae has like
Guess what?
An
That's
account.
something that's coming up.
That's good though. You bring up an awesome point though, because that's true. It's one of those things to think about. Like, how much money are they pumping
I'd
into
rather just borrow money
advertisements?
from Joseph than the bank.
Right.
I'd
That's
rather
what I do.
give her money than her go to the bank.
But you gotta think about that, like
Right
refinancing,
or wrong.
how much hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars they put into refinancing advertisements.
Mhm.
But yet it's supposed to be a benefit for you. But why are they spending so much money on that? These are things you gotta think about. Also, what goes along with SBA is not just loans. What's the other financial product besides a loan?
A line of credit.
Line of credit. Right. So the same thing for lines of credit. If you know anybody who's a general contractor or home builder that does a lot of construction, they're going to need to come up with materials. They're going to have to pay people, paying for their labor. SBA offers lines of credit for established contractors and builders that they can use to buy materials, pay their people, and it's a great option if you're in that realm. Now, I know this may not apply to you, but think about somebody you may know who this could apply to, that maybe could partner up with you on real estate. That's kind of, we worked really well together because I have a track record of knowing what's going on in a project, what things cost, and then partner with the money guy.
That's how our love story started.
Basically.
You knew how to do the deals, you just didn't have any money.
Right.
And I could find the money, but I had nobody to do the deals.
So it's creating that synergistic approach. Also, what goes along with credit lines, we also have small asset-based credit lines. So having really assets, you could attach it just to the asset. I'll go over asset-based loans and lines a little bit more, but we're talking about the SBA here, and this is something that you can get through the SBA up to $200,000. Operates just like a regular line of credit. There's always strict, well actually no. If you're gonna put up an asset as collateral, then they're gonna reduce some of their requirements. That's the thing. They want to just know that you're gonna be able to pay them back. And if you can put something up that's guaranteed, then they're gonna be like, okay, they'll accept a little bit lower credit score.
Do they offer some of those in non-recourse forms as well?
SBA?
I was just wondering, I don't know.
SBA, as far as I know, wants pretty much everything to be personally
So-
guaranteed.
So I was gonna put you personally on the hook.
They're always gonna want you to somewhat co-sign for your business.
Okay.
That's really what it is. What about venture capital? Who's heard of venture capital?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I have.
so who's ever thought that they could even get venture capital? I mean, you guys may not even be thinking, oh, that'd be even something.
I wanna be a venture capitalist.
It's a great idea. Because venture capitalists, it's basically an investor who provides capital for startup ventures, supports small businesses. They want to invest into successful ideas and companies to hope to get a large return out of it. This could be a venture capital firm, it could just be wealthy people, pension funds, foundations, insurance carriers, or corporate pension funds. Really, pensions are kind of moving away, but they're still out there for sure. And they need secure business models to invest in. They love real estate because if you're like a syndication and you have a couple $100 million worth of deals in the pipeline and you have a track record of being able to manage that, that's a lot of money available to you.
So it's, think Shark Tank, right?
Yeah, I
for
was
sure.
just gonna say again, that's Shark Tank right there.
It really is. But it doesn't, I mean, is it easy just to jump into like a $12 million apartment complex? No, you gotta be able to show that you can do it for a duplex, a triplex, then go to 12, 16, 50, 100. If you wanna get funding, these are the different rounds that they actually look to fund companies. The seed round is the very first one. Many times, has anybody heard the term angel investor?
Oh, yeah, it's called
That's-
my parents.
Yes. So when an idea is just an idea and somebody is willing to take a huge risk on that to potentially have a huge profit. Once you actually have a business that's actually starting up, you've done a lot of the groundwork, that's another area where you can search out for investors. Many venture capitalists don't come in until the growth phase. So you're in the early stages, maybe you're not turning a profit yet, but you've been manufacturing. This is where most venture capitalists will come into play. If you know anybody in this area, or you have a plan to get there, we can help you source those funds. Because that's another thing we do, is we will help you go find people that want to invest into your companies. Now, after that, the next round is really, it's kind of after the first major round, then there's the second round. In between the second round, it's the same. The second round is the same as the first. It's basically you have some working capital, maybe you're making a profit at this time, or you may not even be making a profit. After that, we talk about the expansion, so your company's actually taking off and doing really well. Perfect, let's bring in some money at that point. Bridge financing, that's between rounds. And then venture capital plans to be bought out. They want you to go public. They want you to sell off to another company. They want to be paid back in 3 to 5 years. That's typically what they're looking for. So many times this is for nowadays, products that are going to be bought out by larger companies. Not necessarily real estate investments. We look to more equity firms for real estate. So that pretty much brings us to the end of cash flow. Really, anywhere where the money's coming in, we can figure out a way to leverage that. And just on its own too. So now I'm gonna have Joseph dive into credit. This is another aspect. If you have good personal credit or you have good business credit, you can get funds through that route. All right, Mr. Okay, cool.
Oh my goodness, we've been talking about so much that has to do with business, but all right. So here's the thing about that. If you're thinking, man, what did I walk in here today? Why are we talking about all this business financing? Well, keep in mind where we're coming from, what we're talking about. Most of the people that are online, hey, they want to get a duplex, right? They want to get an apartment complex. Where are you going to get that kind of money, right? Well, I mean, we work with the system. There's a group of real estate investors that are here locally, here in Sierra Vista, as well as Southern Arizona, online to all of our YouTube friends. We've got real estate investing teams all across the nation. So all of them are pulling together and they're trying to find resources to do real estate. Some people are like, I don't even know how to do real estate, right? So we get people educated, but getting mentored, coached, trained, and having the resources to do that, that costs money. So there's so many things that cost money. And so instead of sometimes us asking, hey, here's a program, pay money to us, I thought, why don't we have a night where we talk about funding? How about we show you how to put money into your pocket so that you can make smart choices on how to invest that money. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So we've talked about character, capacity, cash flow. Credit is probably, like, Ray likes to talk about cash flow. Cash flow is awesome. But I like to talk about credit because credit, this is the one C that you can get started personally. If you don't even have a business and you want to start taking advantage of credit, we can help you with that. If you have a business and you want to build that business credit, we talk about business credit a lot, we show you how to do that. If you want to take your personal credit, if it's good, and you want to marry it to your business credit, which maybe isn't as good, you can give your business that boost. And we're going to show you how to do that. Credit. There's no faster way to get access to money. A lot of times we help people with credit get access to $25,000 up to $150,000 in as little as 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes up to 12 months, right? But many times it's a very short period of time. So credit-based financing. What is credit-based financing? It goes by a lot of different terms. I like the term credit card stacking, which is why you see a stack of credit cards here. Okay. Here, there's basically 4 different ways that I'm kind of going to talk about in terms of credit-based financing or credit card stacking. All right, see if you can follow along with me. You can personally go out and get your own credit card in your own name. It's a consumer credit card. It reports the FICO score, reports to TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, right? We should all be familiar with that because we either have a credit card or we had one and then lost it. But we've all experienced regular personal credit. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. Second thing I'm going to talk about is what if I personally want to get a credit card but use it for my business? All right. Now, there's kind of 2 ways to do that. I can still have a credit card. It's all in my personal name. It all reports on my personal credit score, right? But I can use it in the business's name. I can use it to try and help grow my business credit. Not so much if it's reporting on your personal side. Second kind of way to do that is my business applies for a credit card, even though it has no credit, but I give the business a personal guarantee from my personal credit. Now, the credit that is used for that business will build that business's credit, and the benefit is that it won't report on my personal side. Now, who here is lost so far? Have I lost anybody?
So if I open one for my business, am I the authorized signer? Like
Yeah,
co-signer for it?
personal guarantee, perfect. That's exactly what you should think about. A personal guarantee is like co-signing for a loan.
Mhm.
All right? When you co-sign for a loan, does it report on your credit?
Oh, yeah.
You will get the inquiry will report for the initial poll, but as they use the line of credit, as they make payments, or if they miss
Oh,
a
yeah.
payment,
It
does
will.
that report on your score?
No.
No. Only if they go bankrupt, they're foreclosed on, they go out of business, then the lender will come after you to pick up those payments, right? So there's some benefits there with that. And then the fourth way, if you guys are keeping track, 1, 2, 3, 4, Roman number 4. The fourth way is if your business has established credit, it can go get credit, lines of credit and credit cards all on its own. All right? Lines of credit and credit cards. What's the difference between those two? I mean, we use that interchangeably, but there is a major difference between a credit card and a line of credit.
Line of credit is, you can get a loan or, right? No?
No. With a credit, let's talk about first what we understand. Credit cards. They come initially, if you have good credit, you meet the criteria, they come at like a introductory 0% interest rate for like 6 to maybe 18 months, right? And then what can you buy with a credit card these days?
Everything.
Well, what can't you buy with a credit card these days, right? But what if I have a credit card and I need access to cash?
Oh, it's a cash advance.
You have to do a cash advance, and then the interest rate on that is anywhere from 20 to
Higher.
30%. All right? So we're following along. Now let's go to a line of credit. What's a line of credit?
On how much they're gonna give. They're gonna allow you to have.
So a line of credit works very similar to a credit card, except for you already have your fixed interest rate already put in there. So let's say it's at 9, 10, 12%, whatever it is. That's fixed. Now, I can pull money out, cash out of my line of credit, but when I pull it out, it's at not a cash advanced rate, it's at the line of credit rate.
Okay.
Get what I'm saying here? So there's a benefit to credit cards, which gives me access to 0% financing, and then there's lines of credit, which can give me access to cash at a very low interest rate. Following? I'm throwing out these terms. I want to make sure that everybody clearly understands what I'm talking about and the differences between them. So if I'm looking to go get some personal credit cards, and I want to use the stacking method. What's the stacking method? I mean, well, the best way for me to explain it is, let's play along with me. Here's the scenario. I'm going to go out, and I've got a good credit score. I'm going to go apply for this credit card, and I get approved. Woohoo! Great. Now I want to go out, and I'm going to apply for another credit card. I get approved. Same amount or less?
Less.
Less. I go out again. I want to go get another credit card. I get approved. And now this is all right at the same time. Now you can get approved for lots of credit cards, but if you space this out over, a couple of years, then that's different. I'm saying if I want to go out all in 1 week, every day I'm going to get another credit card, this is what happens. So first credit card, they give me $5,000. Woohoo! Next credit card, $3,000. Oh, that's cool. Next credit card's $1,000. Okay. I go apply for my fourth credit card. What happens?
None. 500.
No.
Denied.
I'm denied. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
what? Why? Why am I getting
Did
denied?
it in yeah.
Too many inquiries in a short span of time. Lenders get a little nervous, right? This is just how it works. So, yes.
Question, when you're talking about lines of credit,
Lines of credit.
yeah, are those all time, a certain period of time on lines of credit?
Lines of credit can have a time limit put to it where it's a line of credit for a specific time frame, and then it'll convert to a loan. The outstanding balance will convert to a loan.
But there's lines of credit that aren't that way?
Well, there's all kinds of lines of credit. It just depends. Is it an unsecured line of credit or is it a secured line of credit? Your unsecured lines of credit will tend to have a period of time frame put to it that will then later convert to a loan. If it's secured, like let's say you have a HELOC, it doesn't necessarily have to have a time frame to it. Now, some HELOCs do. However, in the world of refinance, if you can refinance a loan, you can also refinance a line of credit, right? If your credit's coming to the end of its term and you have good credit, you can apply for another line of credit, right? As soon as you get your new line of credit, you absorb the old line of credit before it goes out, and then you keep the whole line of credit chain rolling along. Okay, so, but with the credit card stacking method, so I just explained to you what it's like if we go out and apply for this on our own. So how does credit card stacking work? Well, it's because we use a complex computer that matches your credit profile with what lenders want to lend. So as we look at your score and we see, oh, you're pretty high in Experian, but your TransUnion score sucks. Well, we're going to line you up with the lenders that are going to approve you based off of your Experian score. In fact, we also, has anybody heard of like what's called a hard pull? Do we like hard pulls?
No.
No, you need to protect your credit and try and get as few of those as you can. Well, with hard pulls, is that the only way credit is checked? Is there something called a soft pull?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do soft pulls hurt us?
No.
No. There's also another type of pull. It's called a batch pull. A batch pull. What's a batch pull? Oh, I'm really stretching. See, this is business credit like day 2. That's not in the Renatus education yet. Okay, so this is great. You guys are getting so much information here. A batch pull starts as a soft pull, right? Pulls your credit.
Have you tried?
No, I haven't tried. The batch pull starts as a soft pull, but then it turns into a hard pull. Because what happens is you have some kind of lender out there that waits to push all of them through. Maybe they batch at the end of the week, every 2 weeks, or they batch at the end of the month. So here's how credit
So
card.
is that like a dealerships? That's what they do, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Cause, yeah.
Right, because you might go out for the weekend and it's like, hey, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 and you're like, whoa, all my score. I thought I had a good score, and now all of a sudden I don't. So here's what we do with the credit card stacking method. Is we line up all of the lenders based off of your credit profile. Remember we said Aspirian was your high score? Okay, great. So we start looking at all these lenders, and we have literally like 1,000 lenders here that we're looking at. These are people that'll issue credit cards or lines of credit. And so what we do is we start stacking it all together, and we say, okay, let's put all of the soft pulls first. Then let's put all of the batch pulls second, and then all the hard pulls last. And then electronically, what we do is we apply for all of these cards in one shot, all at one point. So we're talking about like stacking maybe 14, 18, 24, depending on what your profile is. We're going to apply to all of these different banks all at the same time. Now, what do you think? What kind of approvals are we going to get?
You're gonna get approved the same, not the same day, but you're gonna get approved because it's the same time, the same day, same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the banks can't really look and see if you applied for one yesterday. 'Cause
Exactly. Look at what your approval amount's going to be. Anywhere from 10,000 to 150,000. It's largely based off of, this is the math you can do. What is your highest limit on a current credit card they have? If we're doing the personal side, and you're like, well, I've got this one card that has 5,000. Well, great. What's 5 times 5,000? Come on, guys, we're doing some math today, okay? This is a warm-up.
25,000.
25,000. So if you did the credit card stacking method on your personal side, imagine now you could get access to $25,000 like that. This is something that funds in like 2 or 3 weeks. Like we apply, but when we get the approvals, again, you sign all of the documents real fast, shoot it back in, and it's done. Now, this comes with a 0% interest rate, could be from 6 to 18 months. We also, after that, you're going to get a regular interest rate between 5 to 25%. Ray's done a beautiful job of explaining why there's a range there, right? It's based off of risk. Now, think about this. Your utilization on the previous slide, your utilization on personal credit, standard credit cards, has to be under 50%. So what does that mean? If my highest limit was 5,000 and I have $5,000 on that card, how much of that card am I utilizing? What percentage? I'm utilizing 100%. So if I have $25,000 on that same card, Mr. Fritz Smith in the house. All right, if I have $25,000 on a card with a limit of $5,000, what is the utilization? What percentage? Come on, we're doing some math here.
If you said what? Say that again?
You have a limit on your credit card for $5,000. That's your
And you
limit.
use how much?
You have $2,500 on the card.
Oh, then you're using about a half of it.
Yeah, 50%. I might have thrown an extra zero in there and
I thought
confused
you
you.
said 25.
I might have said 25,000. Don't go off of what I say. Go off of what I mean. Okay? Come on now. That doesn't make any sense to listen to what I say. Come on now. Right. So you have to understand utilization here, right? And that's how you gain access But I mean, think about the things you want to do. You want to get into real estate investing. You want to start building your business. This is a great way to get access to cash fast. And that's just the personal side. Let's take a look at what you can do on the business side. Come on. You guys gonna groove out with me to this music? Yeah. Now, hey, something you should also understand, when you're applying for this credit card stacking method, there is what's called a 10 to 12% success-based fee. A lot of people chafe at this. You're like, wait a minute, so if I'm gonna get $10,000, you're gonna charge me $1,000? Right? It's built into it. So it's like you get your credit cards with a $1,000 balance that you already have to pay. People are like, that's crazy, I'll just go out and do it on my own. Wait a minute, if you go out and do it on your own, we already showed you how you're gonna leave a whole bunch of money on the table doing it on your own. No, so it's very similar to any type of loan. If you were to go and get an SBA loan or any kind of bank loan, are there what are called banking fees? There's just simple fees built into everything. So this is the fee to find the money to use that whole credit card stacking method. That's the fee. So when you work with us, with Ray and I, our fee is right around 9 to 10%. That's just because we put a high volume of these type of loans. So this is probably our most popular thing that we do for people is credit card stacking. So again, now when I showed you before, like all you need is a 650 credit score and that 50% utilization. So we've talked about that. This is great, right? 650, let's say that's not you. Again, a lot of things we're talking about here, maybe this is you, but maybe it's not you. Maybe this is somebody you know, right? Either way, if you help somebody get access to $10,000 to $150,000 in lines of credit,
Are you gonna make money?
who's gonna make money? Me? The fee.
Okay, got it.
The fee to, us for us to do this, right? That's where I make money. Yep. So that's what it costs. Now, so I don't like charge you money to go look. Like if I don't find anything, then you don't get charged any money.
Somebody can get a lot of army people like that, because a lot of people are not as smart.
Say again?
A lot of people are not smart, like in the military, so it'd be easy to get them. Not in a bad way, but like to make money.
Right. Well,
That's
I
what
mean, look, my kids need to eat. I need to eat, okay? I need to get paid for my services.
No, I'm thinking like you. I'm
All right.
like on the same page. I'm like,
All right,
I need
yeah.
to do this.
Is it okay that I get paid for helping you guys find money? Right?
That's perfect.
Like if I put $10,000 in your pocket, but I get paid $1,000, is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
Nothing in this world is it's not free. You gotta
No.
earn to get something. You know?
No, man, this is good stuff. Okay. But again, remember we were talking about 4 different ways. This is really, we're only talking about the first way. What about, or the first 2 ways? Now think about this. The credit score only had to be 650 on the personal side. The utilization only had to be under 50%. That's just if you're getting a regular consumer credit card. But what if you want to get a credit card for your business? Well, here's the cool thing is we can get you way more money, but we have stricter requirements on your personal credit. So here we could get you 5 to 8 times. So what if that highest limit you have on a personal credit card is 10,000? Say 10,000 is your highest limit you have on one of your cards. Well, what can we get you? Potentially, we could get you up to what?
8,000.
80,000. 80,000. Now this typically comes on 5 different credits, 5 or 6. And here's why that's cool. You want to know why it's cool? Because all these cards come at you fast. Because this is how the mentality, capitalism is great, by the way. Competition is awesome. Because here's how competition works. You get these 5 cards, and each of them, they all total up to about $80,000 in lines of credit for your business. So you start using Mr. Visa. You start swiping your card, and you've been using them now for a month. Well, MasterCard's sitting over there saying, hey, what am I? Chopped liver, why don't you want to give me some love? I'll tell you what, I'll raise your limit on my card so you start using me. And you're like, oh, Visa, MasterCard's looking good. So now you start using MasterCard. Visa's like, what's going on here? I thought we had something special. And now you've left me for MasterCard. I will raise the limit and lower your interest rate. Oh, MasterCard, huh? And so this competition breeds over every 6 months to 12 months. You start seeing, without anything that you're doing, my rates keep going up. Or no, my rates go down, my limits keep going up.
Yeah, that's funny because that happened in my situation
Yeah.
where, oh, babe, why are they giving me all this money? I can't do that way. This is not, they ain't about to get me. And
But
he was
They're
like,
setting a trap.
yeah, I had to.
If you don't, okay.
And I'm not using it. I get.
I am showing you what fire is, right? If you're a little kid, right, you're gonna go burn yourself with some matches, so don't do
You got
that.
all this money to do what?
Right. Now, this is one of a series of training. If you just take what I tell you today, you could go out and do a lot of good or a lot of bad with what I'm saying. But now you come on Thursday when we start training you about velocity banking, we show you how to use credit as a tool to eliminate debt and to purchase assets in a way that you don't have to go out and find extra money. You don't have to get an extra job. You don't have, again, I don't want to steal in the thunder of velocity banking, but it is such a great way to eliminate debt fast without changing anything in your budget or lifestyle. Because a lot of times when we think, oh my gosh, I got this debt, or I got to eliminate it, they think, well, I got to cut back to the beans and rice diet. I mean, look at me. Do I look like I ever went on the beans and rice diet? No, that didn't happen. Velocity banking allows me to eliminate my debt without making extra payments, still able to take the kids out to a baseball game, up to the Diamondbacks, where we kicked the Yankees' butt just last week. I had to throw that in there. So. But I mean, I don't have to change my lifestyle, yet my debt is still getting paid down in 1/3 the time. And that's amazing. So you got to tune in for velocity banking, because all of these things, when you combine them, real estate investing education, to know how to invest in properties without using any of your own money and credit, that's powerful. To have credit to eliminate debt is powerful. To use velocity banking, business credit, and real estate investing education together is the trifecta that leads to financial and economic freedom. All right, so I'm telling you, when you give a personal guarantee or you're like co-signing for your business, you're able to do so many great things. Again, 10 to 12% industry. This is what, again, there are plenty other lenders in this space that do what Wise Guys and Ties does. So shop around, you're going to see it's pretty much all the same. Somewhere between 10 to 12% is what they do for a credit card stack. But okay, look, the requirements, like I said, are a little bit higher. You have to have a 680 or better to give this personal guarantee. And you have to have your utilization now under 30%. So if I have $1,000 as my limit, what is the amount of money that I can have on that credit card and still qualify? What's 30% of 1,000 is 300.
Oh, I mean, okay, I did the opposite way.
Yeah.
300.
So you did 70%, right?
Well,
That
I
would be-
was
that
saying
utilization would be
700
too high.
You need to keep like there. So I was on the same boat. I just.
Yeah, you were just backwards. I
Yeah,
get it. It's opposite day.
backwards,
I
yeah.
know. Before, you needed to have no more than 8 inquiries, right, for a personal credit card. No more than 8 inquiries on your personal credit. Hard pulls, that's an inquiry. No more than 8 in the last 6 months. But when you give a personal guarantee or you're co-signing for your business, you need to have no more than 4 in the last 6 months. All right, so you see, but think about this. So you have lower credit score and get credit for personally, but it's going to be in maybe a little bit of a smaller amount. But I can then, if I have better credit, I can give that guarantee to my business. Now think about it this way. If I give a personal guarantee first to my business, and I have less than 4 inquiries on my record, right? I give the personal guarantee to my business and I get access to, $25,000 to $150,000, right? Okay, follow? Then can I then go out and about 6 months later and then go get credit cards for myself personally? So then I'm effectively or potentially doubling the amount of credit that I get access to within a 6-month period of time. Are you following the logic here? Wow, isn't that amazing? Guys, I'll give you a choice. Is that awesome or is that awesome?
That's
Awesome.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're all following along here with that.
It's awesome with the sauce.
It's awesome,
Awesome
sauce.
There you go.
There you go. So, I'm telling you, this is probably my most favorite slide. I mean, I almost want to cry. It's so special to me because you guys, you just don't. These words are coming up on the board. You don't even know what they mean, but they're so special. Okay, so these business lines of credit. First of all, can we just throw this out there into the sphere so you all know? Do banks advertise every lending program that they have?
Never.
So would they ever tell you about a hybrid program that they have, which is a credit card with an introductory rate of 0% that also acts as a line of credit? Think about that. What's the benefit of the credit card? A starting interest rate of what? 0% for 6 to 18 months. And what's the benefit of a line?
Being able to pull cash.
Being able to pull the cash out
At the fixed loan.
at this fixed
I mean,
simple
fixed,
interest
yeah.
rate, the simple interest rate. Now, what if I have a credit card with an introductory rate of 0%, right? But again, we're talking about up to $150,000 here. 0% interest rate, but I also have pull the cash out capability without activating the cash advance interest rate. So I could pull cash out at what percentage? At 0%? Would that be advantageous for maybe purchasing, I don't know, let's say a house at auction, an REO, right? Where you gotta come up with cash quick, cash fast. I can close today, I can close now. Now, I can close like right now, right? Is that not amazing? Hybrid programs are awesome. Now, we run into situations where someone's like, yeah, I saw those requirements though, and my score isn't quite where I want it to be, or, my utilization's actually a little bit off. Oh, okay, well, did you know that we actually have lenders that lend in a very specific space? They do what's called gap funding, a very short loan to help you pay down your current debt so you get under the utilization cap. So that, let's say you're $6,000 over what you need to be to qualify to get access to $120,000, all right? Happens all the time. I had a doctor where this was the case. He was $6,000 over the 30%. So just got a quick little loan, paid that down, right? This is a 30-day loan. But then he got access to $120,000 on a line of credit. Is there plenty of room for him to then quickly pay off that short little loan? Now, when he initially applied for the financing, he was denied.
So the pay down.
Well, let me come back to that real quick. When he initially applied, he was declined because his utilization was too high. Now, if you apply for a credit card or a line of credit with a bank and you are denied, when can you apply again? How long do you have to wait before you can reapply at your bank?
30 to 60 days, I think.
You are correct, 30 to 60 days. Give her a gold star, will you? Or a kiss since you're married. All right, yes. So now you have to wait that long. But we have rapid rescore. Rapid rescore means that if you take this short-term loan, pay down the debt, which then we can immediately recalculate your FICO score. It goes up, your utilization goes down. We can rapid rescore you. You can apply again in 2 weeks.
Pretty awesome.
2 weeks, folks. How cool is that? You
That's
know what?
awesome.
This is such a hard audience. I don't know.
That is awesome.
Why
I'm-
they
I'm
don't teach
dying.
this in high school, huh?
Why don't they teach this in high school? Well, let's think about it. That's a great question. High school, what is the goal of high school? To go from high school to where?
College.
To go to high school to college. And then from college, you are supposed to then get a what? Well, you get a student loan, right? But then after you get out of college,
Oh, a
it's
job.
to get a job.
Or
Right.
go more for education, masters or PhD.
Right. So you go all the way through that to get a job, right? And your job, what is it that is taken out of your paycheck every week before you even see it.
That's student loan.
No, out of your paycheck before you get,
Oh, taxes to pay us.
yes. So,
We all pay.
I mean, I don't know if this is government conspiracy theory or something, but you have corporations, governments, banks, right? They have a plan for you. They have set you on a course to go and follow their system. And as long as you do that, as long as you follow that system, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna make their money, right? Corporations, right? You have to go into debt, right? Where are these credit cards from? These credit cards are like at the Amazon credit card or the Best Buy credit card, right? These corporations are in cahoots with the bank, right? And the banks or the government, which regulates all of that, is okay because you're keeping all your little people in line who will then go and pay their what?
Taxes.
Their taxes. So you can follow that path that somebody laid out for you, and then one day you retire at the end of your long illustrious career, and you have to survive off of 40% of what you lived on. When you just lived your whole life paycheck to paycheck, you finally retire and you can now get 40% of what you were making every paycheck. That's the plan that's there for you. Or you can become an entrepreneur, or you can get educated. You could learn how these systems work, and you can learn to use. See, it's just a system. If you leverage the system to your advantage, then it works for you. If you don't even understand how the system, you're getting taken advantage of. That's all it is. I'm somebody that got educated. I learned about this system. And so I basically, if you saw that old movie, I got unplugged. I'm out of the matrix, right? I'm like one of those, I'm living in the new world now. Okay. But I can do really cool things like avoid bullets when they come at me. Those debt bullets. All right. So here's another thing that's awesome. Right here, this last line. Guarantors welcome. Because if you're listening to all this, you're like, Joseph, none of this applies to me. I don't have a business. Or I have horrible credit. I could never even qualify for any of this. My credit is a negative 850. What can I do with that?
Oh, what?
Negative 850.
I didn't even know that.
Right. If that's you, or
No.
if your credit score is a single digit number, we can help you. All right. So here's what this means. Guarantors welcome. If you don't have the credit to qualify for this, but somebody does, they can give your business the personal guarantee. If you went to buy a car and you couldn't afford it, could grandma co-sign the loan? Right? Think about this. There are people out there that believe in you. They've wanted to help you, but you know what? They don't have any money to help you. They're just as broke as you are because what? They went to school to get a good job, and all along the way they racked up all this debt, so they don't have the ability to help you. But there are people who, through no fault of their own, ended up with an okay credit score. It just happened. And so they could be a personal guarantor. So somebody can co-sign for your business. They don't have to be your business. They don't have to own your business, right? But you might have a brother, a sister, an aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, not mom, because mom already made it clear she's not giving me the personal guarantee. Thanks, mom. I'm just teasing. But she still won't give it to me. But here's the thing. As long as you have somebody that can give you the personal guarantee, right, then you can take advantage of all these plans off of somebody else's personal credit. Now, is that cool or cool?
Cool.
Now, then someone's going to say, well, wait a minute.
That's hot.
That's putting my personal credit on the line. Well, what happens if you go out of business? Well, then you're liable. Then you're on the hook. But let's say you had somebody that wanted to help financially and they couldn't. Well, one of the things that we do, right, this is not something we're talking about tonight, but we help people build business credit, right? So if you're sitting here today and my business actually has 0 business credit, well, that's what Ray and I do. That's our daytime job. We help people build business credit. We're talking about in 6 months, we help people, this is guaranteed, by the way, in 6 to 12 months, we help people get $50,000 in lines of credit for their business without having to use your social security number. No joke. It's a very simple system. Did I say it was easy?
No.
No, but it's a simple system. And if you're willing to work it, we'll work with you. We have a team of financial advisors, loan officers, and we guide you through the process. And in 6 to 12 months, when your business has an excellent business credit rating, you go back to all of your credit cards with the personal guarantee, and we have a process of doing what's called a reevaluation on each card, and we get the personal guarantee removed, and thus putting your business on the hook for the card because of its excellent business credit rating. Now, is that awesome or awesome?
Awesome.
Thank you. Woo. Now, corporate credit cards. This is basically what I was talking about. When your business has an excellent business credit rating, you just go out and go get credit cards in the business's name. You don't need a personal guarantee. You don't need to worry about any of that. Your business becomes its own, little child that all grew up and is now making mommy and daddy money. That's what we all dream of, right? So now there's a certain pattern. We talked about there's a process. I said it wasn't hard, but it's a simple process, but it's not easy. What you have to do is, without using your personal guarantee or a credit card, is you're going to have to get vendor credit. You need 5 vendor credit accounts. These are net 30 accounts from businesses that will report positively on your business credit. Finding those can be a little bit difficult because only 3% of all businesses that extend vendor credit actually report positive. Because the business credit bureaus actually charge you money and time to report positively. But if you want to report somebody didn't pay you, it's free. It's free in the business world to report somebody who didn't pay you. So finding the accounts that report positive, because you need positive reporting accounts to get to the level where now I can, if I have 5 vendor accounts on reporting positively on my report, I can now go get retail credit, meaning I can go to stores. This is what's cool. I can go to an actual store like Best Buy, Amazon, Staples, and I can get their store card, right? No Visa logo on it, but it is a line of credit that I use at that store. All of those at that level that reports positively to business credit every month. Then from there, I can go on to build through what's called fleet credit, fuel cards, things like that. I can get all the way to cash credit. Once I have 14 accounts reporting positively on my credit, I can get high limit credit cards. I can get those $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 credit cards for my business. I can get the American Express Platinum with no limit, right? This is where I got to get to though. 14 accounts reporting. And so our system walks you through step by step how to get there because we have all of the vendors. We know all of them, right? We know all the store cards. We have all the underwriting guidelines. We show you step by step. So before you've even put in the application, you already know you're approved. How cool is that? We take the guesswork out of it completely. So corporate credit, that's where you want to be. Now, I love it. You see, this is what's so cool because getting access to money, I mean, most of the time what happens here in this building is we talk about real estate. We do real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. And it's awesome, it's wonderful. It's the 8th wonder of the world, really. But ultimately what's always needed at some point is what? What?
Money.
No, rubbing your thumb across your fingers. That's what's needed to do real estate, just like that. Just kidding. You're right, you need money. It takes money to do real estate. Does it have to be your own? I'm sure you've heard this before.
No.
No, it could be someone else's. OPM. All right, peer-to-peer lending. This is so cool. We talked about just using the 1C of credit, but what if we combine cash flow, like Ray was talking about earlier, with credit? Ooh, so if I have a business, it is producing a little bit of cash flow, and I have credit, I can get access to peer-to-peer lending, like you were talking about. Those different types of businesses out there. So how do I get that? Right? Well, they're going to need a consumer credit score. They want to know income to debt ratios, revenue and profit, which is basically cash flow. So revenue and profit, I have to prove that through tax returns or bank statements. But the fees, look at the fees. They range from 0.5 percentage point up to 10%. Now the terms, 1 to 5 years, and loans can be from $25,000 up to $500,000. That's cool, right? That's just awesome. We're not even dealing with the bank here.
The reason why the percents are low is because they're not dealing with the bank.
We're not dealing with the bank, but I mean, look, we're you're showing us that you're making cash flow. You verified your cash flow, right? You have credit. And an income to debt ratio. Do we all know how to calculate income to debt ratio? You got paper, pen?
Yeah.
Okay. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're gonna calculate debt to income ratio. What's debt to income ratio? We're gonna do some math here today. That is going to bother me. If I don't, I gotta close that. Okay. Hopefully everybody at home at YouTube can see this. Okay. So, I'm gonna whip out a handy dandy fictional budget here, but let's take a look at it. So, we have a two income family, okay? Let's take a look at this family. This family makes $9,500 gross a month, right? We should put per month, all right? Should be writing this down. All right, so taxes, right? Taxes paid on this, $2,350 a month, but that's already taken out of the paycheck, right? That's taxes, right? We following so far? You picking up what I'm laying down? All right, you can follow along at home too, YouTube. All right, now the home mortgage costs $1,330 a month. That's the home, mortgage, which we'll abbreviate. All right, now we have student loan. Student loan is $800 a month. That's student loan. All right, now we have car payment, right? That's $300 a month. That's the car, right? We have credit cards. Credit cards come to the payments on, I think it's 5 different cards here, comes to $710 a month for credit cards. And then we're running out of the board space here, but $2,210 a month are other expenses. Whew. All right, you following that so far? So we're going to calculate the DTI, right? I've done this training before, but this is always bears more training. Bank DTI. What's the formula for bank DTI?
Debt to ratio.
Debt to income ratio. So fixed expenses divided by gross income. All right. So let's figure out what are our fixed expenses.
Fixed expenses is like,
Well, they're up here on the board.
Yeah.
You can only answer with what's on the board.
oh, okay, your home mortgage,
Yes. There's a fixed expense.
your car,
Yes. What else?
and your student loan.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Those are all your fixed
Credit
expenses.
card can fluctuate.
Yes, credit card fluctuates. Other expenses. What's other expenses here?
Just it could be
Water,
anything,
power,
yeah.
electric, gas, Netflix. Right?
Or a hot date, let me stop.
Yeah, going out to a hot date, right? And so this is the gross income right here, right?
Yeah,
So we're gonna add these 3 up and we're gonna divide by our gross income. So that should give us a percentage, right? Now, bank DTI, they're looking for anything under 45% typically for a loan at the amount that we want to get, which is like, we're looking for 25,000 up to 150,000, right? So we're bank DTI is going to require us to be under 45%. So when you calculate bank DTI, did you do it? Come on, this is math.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
participation, right?
okay.
What good is it if you don't know it? Hey, you're monitoring YouTube. Are people throwing it in here? Come on, right? We're working here, folks. Hey, you in the back, you can't take it off. You got to do the math too.
Okay, so,
I could use a little water.
Oh,
Please.
okay, so 2,430?
No, we should add up 1,330 plus 800
Yeah.
plus 300. Take that number and divide it by
Oh,
9,500.
is
okay.
that 300 or 367?
This is 1,330 for the mortgage.
The car.
No. My mom is always trying to make sure that I draw my zeros the right way. Those are zeros, folks.
Backwards C's.
So
Zeros.
whoa,
I mean, come on, someone on YouTube, save us. Anybody?
and then you take
Maybe the
that number and
Ghost
divide it by the gross? Or the gross is divided?
So we take 1,330 plus 800 plus 300. What number do we get?
2430.
Okay. Take that number, divide it by 9,500. 2430, you said?
0.25.
Yeah, yep. Because it's a percentage,
Oh,
25%.
I feel.
That is our DTI. That is our DTI. What does that mean? It means that 25% of my gross income goes towards my fixed expenses. So now we know that the bank, right, they're looking for any bank DTI under 45%. So, yes or no, do you qualify for the loan for this, let's say a $150,000 loan? Do you qualify for this loan?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, now, let me ask you a question. Do you actually live off of your gross income?
No, you were looking at,
And are your fixed expenses your only expenses?
no.
Okay, so that's bank DTI. Let's talk about, real life here. That's what I call living DTI, right? So this is going to be now fixed expenses plus, everything else, other, right? Here's what we're trying to get to. We actually want to have total expenses, right? All of that divided by my gross income minus my taxes, which is also known as net income. All right. You following along? So a lot of people make the mistake of throwing taxes into expenses. But, right, so we're going to add up everything we did before. Here's our fixed expenses. Now we got to throw in credit card and other. So we add those in, right? But taxes, we subtract from the gross to give us our net. So we're going to take all of our expenses, our total expenses, and we're going to divide it by our net income. And that's going to give us our living DTI. All right, folks. What do we got? Come on now.
Alright, let's see. We got fixed expenses.
All you have to
plus
do is take
others.
that fixed expenses number and add 710 plus 2,210, and now you have your numerator. And then to figure gross, you take 9,500 and you minus 2,350.
0.74%.
$74. 74.
Minus 3 what? 350. Oh, 2350.
To find my net income, I have to take my gross income minus my taxes, 2,350.
Minus your tax.
All right, so if the bank wanted to qualify me for this loan based off of my living DTI, would I qualify? No, because 74% of my total expenses is being serviced by my net income, which I live off of. Now, This is just where we're currently at. Now remember, we're picking up a loan or a line of credit for 150,000. Let's say the payment on that, we pull out all the money, the payment on that's gonna be $1,000 a month. So now what we have to do to end the loan is we have to add in what that payment would be. Now, keep in mind, we'd wanna set up a rental, wouldn't we? And then have our tenant pay for that. But can we count on 100% occupancy every year?
No.
So is it more realistic to count on 80% occupancy? So I need to be able to make sure that I can cover this payment, right? So now take total expenses, add an additional $1,000 in, divide by your net income, and tell me if you can, what your DTI is after adding that in.
88%.
What?
Is it 88%?
Is that what you got?
Yeah.
So it should be 1,000 plus 1,330 plus 800 plus 300 plus 710 plus 2,210, correct?
Mhm.
Divided by 9,500 minus 2,350, correct?
Yeah, so all I did was I used the amount that I had for the other ones and just added 1,000, so that'll be like 6,350, and then you divide it by the
net.
the net, which will be 7,150, and gives it 88%.
88%. Now, the person that got the line of credit to get the rental property, were they thinking to themselves, I want to get a rental property so that I can barely make it, so that I need to work a second job, so that I have to work overtime, so that I can't see my kids and family, right? Is that what the whole plan was? Absolutely, that wasn't the plan. Think about, what is the number one thing that married couples fight over? Or just couples in general, even if you're not married. What do you fight over?
I know.
You might fight over money. Now, wait a minute, you've gotten to the situation, you can't afford it. Well, how did you get in the situation if you can't afford it? You trusted who?
The bank.
The bank said you could afford it, right? But you can't. But we trusted them, right? You need to become your own financial advisor. You need to understand what DTI is, right? So I'm going to bring back up the information from earlier, but I want you folks to know what a DTI is and how it's calculated. So when we talk about peer-to-peer lending, right, income to debt ratios, they're going to use bank DTI to help them figure that out. Bank DTI, it's not too hard, too difficult to qualify because of how it's calculated. But we need to be smart and look at what our living DTI is to make sure that we can afford it. Are we good?
Yeah.
Is that a golden nugget you can walk out? I'm not going to charge any extra for that one, okay? You guys get that one for free. All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is good stuff.
A lot of information.
What are we talking about? We haven't even got started yet. This is just the intro. This is the warm-up. All right? All right. Term loans. All right. Term loans are great because these come from secondary lenders. We're not even talking about your regular standard financial institutions like your banks, right? So what do they need? Well, they really need a 700 FICO score. Now you do need to have some capacity. You've got to have 1 year in business, right? They do require cash flow. So they're looking that you have at least $10,000 in monthly revenue, right? How do you show that? Typically you show it through tax returns. Now, do all of them require that? No, not all of them. But you've got to have good financials to qualify for these, because these are secondary lenders, right? They're lending out their own money, right? Now there are options that don't require tax returns. That's good. Not all. Some do, some don't, right? We're going to shop around for the ones that do. But here's what's great. Look at the flexibility here. Being able to get a loan term up to 30 years. No yawning here in my presentation. This is interesting stuff. I don't care that there's numbers coming on the board. All right? I put music, I have a hand drawing, there's colors, and I'm animated. This is the best. This is all I can give you, man. So loan amounts can be up in the millions, 8 to 15% interest rates. This is affordable money. Now, here are the basic qualifications. Credit, cash flow, we've already talked about those, right? Bank account management, NSF fees, multiple payments coming into the account, right? Did I click ahead? I didn't mean to. Here we
Maybe.
go. But
You're doing
here's the point. When it comes to your bank financials, do you have NSF fees, right? Is there a positive balance at the end of the month, right? These are some things that need to be seen. But here's what's great. When you combine cash flow and credit, you get peer-to-peer lending, and you even get access to term-based loans. We talked about credit card stacking. It's amazing. It's awesome. You need to get started with us on that. And business credit building. Everybody should be building their business credit, right? There's no reason not to. All right. So with that being said, I want to bring up for the close, the final C of the night. Well, I wonder what it's going to be. Were any of you paying attention? The final C? To learn all about collateral, let's bring up Mr. Ray Fleming. Come on up here.
Woohoo!
Mr. Ray Fleming.
Collateral. Thank you, sir.
Boom.
Okay. Woo! It is not an easy job to make something like the basics of finance feel so exciting. But you do a great job, Joe.
Well,
You do a
thank you,
great
Ray.
job. Yeah, no, keeping us entertained, because this is it's like all the underwriting guidelines, all the details. Ooh, collateral-based funding, what is this? What can be used as collateral? Man, there's so many things, really anything could be collateralized. You could collateralize these tables. But what we're gonna talk about is anything valuable in the business. Accounts receivable, purchase orders, book of business, equipment, inventory, commercial real estate, also commercial vehicles. What about on your personal side, things you can collateralize for your business? Stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, those can be collateralized as well, as especially, residential real estate. SBA is always trying to get your personal residence on hook if you don't have any other collateral. This is how they're going to secure those funds, because the collateral is the guarantee. So if you default, they are going to take whatever is attached to that loan or that line. As we're talking about real estate many of the times, who's heard of hard money? Okay, so in the world of finance, we see interest rates up to 65%. Now, hard money, typically, it's one of the more expensive real estate investment tools, but in the real world of finance, it's really not that expensive. It comes at the range of 6% to 14% interest. Not a lot, but if you're doing a fix and flip, 14% for 6 months is a lot. That can eat up a lot of your profit. Now, lenders will typically loan 55 to 80%. What is LTV?
Loan to variable? Or
Value. Very
value.
close. Yeah, you're right on there. Loan to value. That's really what it is. So if the house is worth $100,000, they'll give you anywhere from $55,000 to $80,000. They are going to want to secure it as a first position lien against the property. So if you screw up in any way, shape, or form, they're going to take that property away from you. Usually 6 months. They do have extensions. Many times it comes at a higher interest rate, or you're going to have to pay an extension fee, usually in the form of points. Points are a percentage rate. So, an extension could be 2 points, but then you get to continue on for another 3 months. Many times it doesn't require a personal credit check because it's based on the asset itself. They're going to want to see that you have some money to put skin in the game. They're also going to want to see that you have a little bit of a track record doing some real estate. If you don't have a track record, your interest rates are going to be much higher. They might even want to look at your personal credit. But it's really, this money is used for rehabbing and reselling properties. Many times they put the funds in an escrow account, and then as work is performed on the property, they will release those funds accordingly. So that is using hard money, a way to get into fix and flip properties for real estate. Next level of real estate is commercial real estate. So the office that we're sitting in right now, you know, if you'd like to get a big office complex and have some other businesses renting office buildings from you, you could get loans anywhere from $75,000 to $20 million. $20 million, that's what we can deal with. $20 million, that's the limit, which is a lot of money. 55% to 65% loan to value. So you will need to have definitely some money in the game. 2 years financials they're going to want to see, tax returns, profit and loss statements, a debt schedule. Businesses must have cash flow to qualify for this, to make the payments. If they're going to look at your personal credit, and they're going to want to see that you have at least a 650 credit score. Yes, sir.
Well, my understanding are these are the typical things that they look for, but not every commercial real estate funding program requires everything that's there. Is that right?
These are kind of the standards.
You're just giving us the
Right.
general
The
stuff?
general overview, and of course, like what we talked about, is having powerful aspects on cash flow, collateral, or just your business credit can offset some of these things.
That's cool.
So having a good business credit score can reduce the personal requirement. Having, you know, if you're going to purchase it, refinance it, or create multiple. The cool thing about commercial lending in this way is, say you're starting in real estate and you have now a little collection of some residential properties. You have maybe 5 or 6 single family homes. You can combine them all into one commercial loan. That's what's really cool. As you're looking at the requirements, so everything we've been showing you today, it's talking about, you know, what they're going to look for. If they want a personal credit score, if they want tax returns, if they want profit and loss statements, you want to think about, why are they looking at that stuff? What are they looking for? Many lenders, they're all looking for a way they can guarantee payment. So as you're developing your business, you want to really keep in mind, hey, how is this going to look in the future? Do I want to write off all my taxes and show that I have no profit? Well, it depends. You may not want to completely write off everything to zero, because then it looks like you're not making any money. So what is your strategy? If you're starting out, maybe that's the best thing to do, to reinvest your free cash. But if you're trying to get some funding, you're going to want to show some profits and pay taxes to make sure you can actually get the funding you need. So let's say you could write everything to zero, or you could not write off everything to zero and end up paying $10,000 in taxes. Well, from the lender's perspective, that $10,000 shows that you're turning a good profit, so they're more willing to lend on that.
That blows my mind. Are you saying that, because I mean, I'm telling you, I've taken classes where the strategy is to get all the way down to zero tax liability.
Right.
But
that's what we always talk about. Get to zero tax.
That's awesome, because then I don't have to pay taxes. But if I do pay taxes, you're telling me I could get access to $75,000 to $20 million?
Well, let me ask it this way. If you were to pay $10,000 in tax, that could potentially open up the access to $200,000, $300,000, even $400,000. Is that a good investment?
Absolutely.
Many times we don't look at that because many of us don't understand the aspect of business, credit, and finance. So we just think we got to get our taxes to zero. But if it comes to leveraging our financial power, we do want to show a profit.
There's brain matter oozing out of my ears right now.
I know, we're covering so much tonight. And we're jam-packing this into just a short period of time, too. So the other... We pause a little bit? All right. It'll catch up here in a minute. But who doesn't want to own a commercial property? I mean, apartment buildings fall into... I've mentioned apartment buildings a lot today. I just like the idea of apartment buildings. It really is a great idea. Because, I can't think of a reason why not. Everybody needs clean, affordable housing. Right?
Right.
Young lady in the back.
Well, you can have 24 houses across the country, but isn't it nice for apartments to have all those 24 under one roof?
Right, yeah.
That's what I like.
24 under one place, one location, so you don't have to drive to 24 other ones, or have, like you said, other states.
Yeah.
That could be even harder to manage if you have them all in one place and have one manager. Maybe the manager just lives in one of the units. It's a great way to be able to reduce risk. That's really what it is. But yet again, the cool thing I like about apartment complexes and other businesses, when we're talking about collateral, it's using the business to buy itself. That is a huge part about what's collateral. If this property had tenants in it, so let's use the apartment complex. If it's rented out and it has money coming in, you can literally use that property to qualify for the financing. So you don't even necessarily need to bring a lot of money to the table. You could use what you're buying as the collateral and the guarantee for payment.
That is another thing that blows my mind.
This happens a lot with this. Okay, so is anybody an insurance agent? Does anybody know an insurance agent?
I do.
Okay, or know somebody that knows somebody. Insurance agents, they build books of business. Now there are a few companies, especially the big name one is State Farm. Those agents don't actually own their commissions that are due. State Farm actually owns that, and they pound their agents. But other agencies, they can actually build asset through payments that are due. Their commissions that are due. It's called a book of business. So let's say that Joseph is another insurance agent and he wants to sell his business. I'm an agent over here and I could expand my, area. I could go to Joseph and use his existing business to purchase the business from him. So I could literally go to Joseph, I can collateralize his assets in this book that he's built up, because we can fund up to 120% of the surrender value. And so I just need to pay him face value. I could literally collateralize what he's already built and use that to pay him. And he basically gives it to me. It's like, I don't even have to come with any money to buy that business. This is actually pretty much the number one way that insurance agents buy other businesses.
But you were just saying that this strategy can be used in real estate too.
Anything. This could be used in anything, especially real estate. We're talking about buying a commercial building.
A dentist office.
A dentist office. The gentleman is willing to carry a note. So he owns the property free and clear. He's willing to be the bank, but he wants a down payment. And so he wants 20% down. He's asking $500,000 for the building, but he wants 20% down, which would be $100,000. He's willing to create a private mortgage or a private note for the rest of the $400,000 and take payments over time. We just need to come up with $100,000. But what about this? In exchange, instead of us giving him $100,000 cash, what if the business that's going to own that dental office, he just gets ownership of that company?
20%.
20%. So his 20% is worth $100,000. So what that looks like is, I know, and that probably needs to be diagrammed.
But it could also be collateralized through a third party.
It could.
Either way, and he could get paid.
So there's a guy over here who wants to sell this business. We are going to have him take payments on the $400,000, and instead of giving him $100,000 cash, he gets ownership in the company that's buying it. Does that make sense? So then what he gets is not only his loan payment, but now the money that
25%
comes
of
off
the
the
revenue.
property into the business, he gets a percentage of that as well. And he continues.
And that's how he's making his money work.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what's he going to do with that $100,000 we give him? He's just going to have to go reinvest into a business or something else. So why not be the one-stop shop and solve all of his problems? I mean, he wanted to see that we have skin in the game. Well, what's more skin in the game than giving him ownership in the business? Then he has access to our financials. He has access to voting rights. He has access to all
so
this.
does that make y'all a corporation?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we just create a
We have-
partnership
we have about
LLC.
7 of those right now.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to expand and get more properties and not have to get any more money out of it. Just working, keeping it all in house.
Stay in one place.
Yeah. And it solves his problem, because what is an old investor's problem. He doesn't want to deal with the tenants, the taxes, the termites. He's tired of the management, but he likes the cash flow. So let's give him cash flow here and cash flow here, somewhere to put the money that we're gonna pay him anyway.
And he already tried to have it on the market through an agent before and it didn't sell, and so now he's discouraged.
Yeah, we're noticing this because we've paid this gentleman for his other properties, and then he's now sitting there with this money, and he's been watching us and what we're doing, and now he's like, well, maybe I should invest some of that money with you. And we're like, well, the next time, let's just keep it all in one. Like, instead of us giving you the cash, like, let's just wrap it up into one package. It's a fantastic way to expand.
I
and
want
grow
him
more
to
businesses.
divest his whole portfolio into us.
But most businesses are purchased that way. If they have inventory and stuff, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about ways that through collateral is how you can purchase more stuff without coming out of pocket, leveraging what somebody else has already built.
So you're saying that most people make the mistake of trying to go out and find all this money to purchase the property.
Right.
And they could have collateralized the property to purchase said property.
It is how big corporations expand and continue to buy other companies. Like when when companies purchase other companies for, hundreds of millions of dollars, they're not coming out with the cash. They're leveraging that existing business and paying the people they're buying it from. Equipment, cameras, construction materials, everything can be collateralized and used to either expand your business or purchase business. So let's talk about this. Startups can qualify. That's a great thing. So if you're purchasing something, you'll be considered a startup. Amounts range from $10,000 to $20 million, 12 months to 4 years, rates of 5 to 55%. I like when there's a big spread of terms. I like when there's a big spread of interest rates. Why do you think I like that?
I know.
I know you know. Why?
More people can qualify.
Yes. It opens up to the whole spectrum. 580 credits, personal credit score or higher. 650, of course, is preferred. Down payments can be as low as first and last month's rent, basically. I say rent, but payments. So equipment funding, that's a really great way of expanding a business. Equipment sale leaseback. This is a little bit tricky, but let's say that you need some money and you have, many people go through a family member and they maybe will go to, say, like their grandpa, but their grandpa has a tractor that he doesn't really use. They don't realize that they could sell that tractor back to the lender and create a new lease so he doesn't have to get rid of his tractor, but he can pull the cash out of the tractor. Does that make sense?
So he gets to still keep said tractor.
He gets to keep the tractor. He creates a little payment. Say you need $10,000 and your grandpa has a $20,000 tractor. You could do a sale leaseback where they basically refinance that tractor. You get the cash out at a small monthly payment and a small interest rate. But of course, it's like interest rates are huge ranges, and we always talk about if you want a lower interest rate, you just have to reduce the risk. That's why going through the steps of making sure your business is credible and lendable, that helps reduce interest rates. Medical equipment, welding, contractor supplies, all of these things can be leveraged or sold back. That's a great option for many, many people. Another aspect of collateral, let's see what else we could collateralize. This is more on the personal side, securities. So owning stocks, bonds, you're gonna need to show the proof that you own it, but typically you can borrow up to 90% of that stock. So let's say you have somebody who wants to invest with you and they own $100,000 in Amazon stock. They don't want to sell Amazon. Is Amazon going to crash anytime soon? No, Amazon's they might eventually merge with Google and take over the entire world. I don't know. It's like, you start selling people. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's nuts. But you don't want to sell that stock. But what could you do with that stock? Well, this is the great thing. You could borrow, say, $90,000 of your $100,000 Amazon stock, You get to keep all the money that your stock is making. You get to keep all of the growth of your stock, and you get to use the funds at a very low interest rate. Prime plus 2%, which is extremely low. 4 to 6% interest rates on that. It's so crazy. I don't know why most people don't even know that you could do that.
I think
this is the best way to get funding.
I'm learning something from you today now too. Look, I never realized you could get a loan or a line of credit. I never
Isn't that
realized
crazy?
that. I thought it was always a loan.
It's crazy. This
Yeah.
is one of the craziest things ever, because people would think, oh, where is money? I mean, do people just have $100,000 sitting in their savings account? Not typically, but they do typically have that. If they have built something up over a long period of time, they have it in stocks, in the stock market somewhere. It could be in mutual funds. Many times we talk about raising money from investment accounts. There's $27 trillion sitting in investment accounts. It's the biggest pile of cash. So you might as well go for it. In that way, they get to still retain ownership in the other business. That's so cool. Leverage your own ownership to buy more.
Blowing my mind, Ray. You're blowing my mind.
401ks, IRAs, you can borrow up to 100% of a 401k that is not currently with your employer. So if you're currently employed with a company, you need to get with your HR department. You can typically borrow up to half, up to $50,000. But if you're no longer with that employer, you can borrow 100% against it. Or if you have just an individual retirement account, you can borrow 100% of that. Many times we see this as a nest egg, but what we want to do is turn it into chickens. So take that nest egg, turn it into chickens, so you can continue that cycle.
Keep laying eggs.
Very cheap too. We're talking 4 to 6%. There is a lender fee. So there's a rollover fee, a processing fee to be able to do this, but that just goes into the payment so you don't even really notice it. The lenders we work with, it's around $2,000 their fee. But $100,000 to convert, or $2,000 to convert $100,000 is totally worth it. Last but not least, business credit and the way that we organically help you build business credit for your company. This is something that every business needs to do, every successful business has done. It's the catch-all. So if you don't have any cash flow, you don't have personal credit, you don't have collateral, those are going to be required for approvals. But if you use business credit and build it, then you can get funds just on that. You don't necessarily need to go through all the other avenues. Utilization doesn't affect your business credit utilization doesn't affect your personal credit score. Also, business credit inquiries do not show up on your personal credit. So imagine that, if you could apply for new accounts every single day and it not affect your score, how cool is that? So if business loans, let's talk about it. Joseph, you talked a lot about business credit earlier. It is just one of those things that if you want to figure out how to build business credit without using a personal guarantee, it's a great way to go, because if you want real estate, you want rental properties, imagine you have a rental and it has its own credit card. So if something happens, you can use the own property with its own credit card and you're not even attached to that. It's an amazing thing. All you have to do is, if you want to find out more about any of these lending instruments, you want to find out how to get funded, if you have a great business idea and you just aren't sure where to go, let's talk about it. You can call 888-524-9273. You can scan this code. You got some cards here. You want to pass them out?
Yeah.
But here's some cards. You can just scan this code. And 888-524-9273. But the cool thing is, we have a program that helps you build your business credit. We charge we have a one-time cash discount of $29.97, and you're guaranteed $50,000 in lines of credit. $50,000 in 6 to 12 months. Now, that's a great thing. There's been a lot of people that have been using this and building their business credit. So if you think, oh, where am I going to find the money? That's kind of the option if you don't have personal credit, but you do need to establish your business credit. The other great thing is today, what we are doing is when you scan this code, we're going to give you a gift. We're going to give you a video on business credit. It's a training, but you also get a free ebook, which is really neat. And you get a free 30-minute business consultation. But we're also throwing in a free funding assessment. So regardless of what you want to do, everybody should at least go through a free funding assessment. Whether you have a business or you don't have a business. There may be money out there that you just don't know that you qualify for. We will literally put our team to work without having any impact to your personal credit. We will go out there and we'll just tell you what there might be out there in the world for you. And you never know. I mean, we had a lady the other day, she's like, well, I have this business and I've never done anything with it. Nobody's going to give me any money. And we went through and all of a sudden there was a lender out there that was willing to give her $10,000. And she hadn't ever done anything for a couple of years. And it was like, holy smokes. And she was like, that's what I need to get my whole thing back up and running. And we found all that without even impacting her personal credit, and it didn't even cost her anything up front. And that's a great thing too, because after we found it, we're like, well, it's gonna cost you like $900 for us to get those funds for you. Do you want it? And she's like, I'm drowned in here, of course. I didn't even know I could get any money. Yeah, so it's kind of these win-win situations. But of course, you don't have to do it. You really don't. I mean, you could wait. Wait to do it, wait to get the free funding assessment. Go ahead and wait to do that. I mean, you could wait a month, you could wait 2 months, 6 months. You can never do it. And that's okay, you don't have to do it. But the thing I encourage you to do is to go ahead and do it. I encourage you I want to do this. I want to help you do this. I want you to do this so you can actually focus on the things that you actually need to worry about. Let's just get over and get it done so you have more time to spend with your family, to build your business. We have a great incentive, because sometimes people need incentives to help do this. Even though it's a free funding assessment, we're going to give you something even greater. If you end up working with us in the business credit building process, if you fill out the free consultation by midnight, we're going to give you a $500 off credit. So whatever even if we have a discount going on, you're going to get $500 off that price. Right now, that's what we charge, $2,997 on our business credit builder. If you do the free consultation, whether or not you even do work with us, you will have that credit available to you.
What if I need $2,000 to $20,000 for real estate investing education?
Well, it doesn't cost anything for our business. I mean, please be respectful of our time. Obviously our goal is to help you, or, if we can just point you in the right direction, that's our goal. But if we make an appointment, make sure you stick with it, because, we don't want to waste your time, and I hope you don't want to waste ours. But yeah, if you want to invest in properties, you want to get some real estate investing education, and you're like, hey, I can't find the money. Well, we had to figure it out. When I was going through this, I basically was losing my house. And so I had no money to do it, but I knew it was the only way I was ever going to be able to hold on to my house. So I encourage you, at least sit down and talk. No obligation. We're not going to charge you anything. We're not even going to pull an inquiry on your credit, but we'll try to figure out where you can find the funds. And like I said, all you have to do, scan the code. If for any reason you can't scan the code, go to wiseguysandties.com, fill out the consultation, and you'll at least have that credit sitting in our account for you. So, look forward to working with all of you. Good night, and God bless. Bye.